Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Nishmas Mirel. Live again from the Kesher Nafshi convention in Tveria. Now, I got to tell you, sometimes in life, there's a lesson to be learned about Daf Yomi, and this morning is one of them. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah. It's on Zoom. Okay, but maybe turn up the volume or something. Whatever. Okay. Rabbi Isai, the Olam here in the hotel was up all night. Most of them. I knew that I had to prepare shir, so I prepared last night. I didn't go to the Lav Malka. I went to sleep about 1 o'clock. And 3:30 I got up to prepare shir. So I figured the hotel's going to be quiet. It's going to be gewaldig. I'll be able to prepare. And I come out and everybody's dancing and tumbling. And Gedalya came over to me and says, I'm going to sleep now. I got to get up for shir. So last night there was about 50 people in the room. Right now there's about 20. But 20 people that are tzaddikim. Tzaddikim gemurim, not to be mevater on the daf. Staying up all night. Some of you, I don't know, anybody go to sleep yet? Seriously, anybody? A few people, okay. Hour and a half, it's even worse than staying up the whole night. So it's a lesson in Daf Yomi, a lesson of the consistency of Daf Yomi, the unbelievable power that this program has. Again, I don't think that another program in the world, learning Be'iyun, for instance, and not knocking Iyun, because me and Chaim learned Iyun for many years together, but you usually don't get up after an hour and a half of sleep to do Iyun. That's just not the way it goes. It's the consistency. It's the thing that it's day in, day out, no matter what. It's an unbelievable lesson. And even Dan, who started yesterday and was playing music till 5 o'clock in the morning, is here 2 hours later. His eyes are like this. His second day on the job, but he's here. He's here. That's Daf Yomi. Rabbi said this is Daf Yomi. So for everybody coming out here, I want to tell you a quick story. Even Gary, seriously, I know Gary went to sleep. Gary also slept two hours, whatever it was. Okay, whatever. You don't have to ruin my mices. Just to tell you a regular because we don't have a lot of time. I'm also not very familiar with the whole idea. One thing I can tell you that people come out of this weekend on a tremendous, tremendous high. I have a very good friend from Chicago, somebody I learned in Panovich, a big Bal Kishrin, a very matzliach guy, who his back went out. His back went out last week. Va'afal Pikein, he flew in from Chicago to be here, even though it's his 5th time in 1 year. He's been to 5 Shabbatons. He's walking with a walker. You could see him around walking. It just happened to him this week. He said, no, I'm not being mevater. That's one person. I met another person that's here for 5 times. A relative of ours, she came by herself. She's here for, I don't know, this is her maybe also 5th time or something. How many times is she here? You know what I'm talking about? So I just want to tell you a quick, mamish, a regular achas. Basically, it's to deal with struggling children. And it gives you a whole new perspective, a whole new outlook, and take away the shame, the guilt that parents have. You know, it's a busha to walk around in the neighborhood with somebody. A kid sometimes has tattoos, and sometimes necklaces, and sometimes not dressed sneers. And to walk in the neighborhood, and we have it in our neighborhood. Sometimes I look at these people. You see a mamash or a guy with a long beard walking with a girl with tattoos with a mini skirt. And it's like, what's going on here? And now, after Shabbos, I'm understanding these are probably people, graduates of the Kesher Nafshi system. And a quick story that Reb Gedalya Miller said that touched up the whole Shabbos for me was that there was a couple, I think they lived in Muncie, you said, where they live in Brooklyn. They took their daughter on Friday night Shabbos to the bus stop to catch a bus. And they walked her all the way to the bus. And somebody called them up after Shabbos and he said, oh, here it goes. The typical call, how dare you, chutzpah, be mechazik chil Shabbos, etc. And the guy said, you know, when I saw you walking, I saw 2 malachim walking the girl to the bus stop. It's a tremendous gvura to do that. It's a tremendous, you have to learn it. It's not pashut. I'm not holding in the madrega, but to do it and not be embarrassed, and they go, and this is what's right for my kid, and then okay, we're not going to go into it. I heard stories, story after story. By the way, I don't know if you know, there's I don't think it was a joke. There's a guy here who's in his 80s who came to see how to deal with his 64-year-old off the derech child. I'm not kidding. So, anyway, unbelievable Shabbos. We don't have a whole lot of emails to go through. Right now, they are live in Brooklyn. Peretz Chaim Levine and his whole chevra. So, Shalom Aleichem to the guys in Brooklyn. It's kedai to join them, be part of a chevra, make something that's online, make it more of an established thing. You have them? Yes, why not? Show them if they're on Zoom. Okay. This is Noam Fix's son all the way to the left. Sruli Fix, together with Uncle Phil, together with Nehemiah Seltzer, who does a lot of the graphics. I don't know if you noticed different things on the thumbnails and stuff like that. And Mark Ashkenazi. Oh, this is the get together in Brooklyn. Shalom Aleichem, Brooklyn. How are you? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. You have to understand, it's like after 1 o'clock in the morning over there. Beautiful. Sorry for the delay. Guys, it's not so posh to get things going here. Real quickly, Ralph Groskov says, I really hope you enjoy your weekend at Kesher Nafshi. I wish I was there. Many people send you inspirational emails about the daf changing their life. Others send you presents. I've passed the stage of saying how the daf put learning on my schedule. I would, however, like to give you what I think is a present. 3 Masechtas. When the daf was doing shkolim, you were giving shir in Chicago, and saying how different Yerushalmi is. Well, you taught it so well that I did not see what was difficult. I say it over and over. It was probably the most difficult Masechta for me. And it brings to mind Nedarim. Nedarim is basically a similar Masechta to Shkolim because it's Yerushalmi. It's Bavli that was learned in Yerushalayim. And that's why the nusach, the wording is different. A lot of different gersais. It reminds me a lot of Shkolim. Not really, but a little bit. Especially today. One daf. Today, Rabbi Isai, and this is also a lesson in Daf Yomi. Yesterday was Gishmak, there was a cane, and there was an alligator, and there was a snake, and a this, and a joke. Today, takes you right back to Nedarim a little bit, and tomorrow is going to be fun again. So, if this is your second day, Don, don't get all worried. This is not the rest of Shas. So once, that's what Shas is. Sometimes there's a daf of Cheshbon, that's today. Sometimes there's a daf of this, a God, every day is something else. If you don't like this style, some people love it. They live for this. If it's not your style, don't worry. Tomorrow's a whole new day. Says the Gemara. We didn't sleep. July 22nd, I decided to try Yerushalmi by myself, starting in Nedarim. Can't believe it. But big thanks to our scroll, I'm holding with it. It just started now. No, the whole cycle. The Shabbos that we're making seem Nida. Kitzer, I want you to know that this is in your zchus. Thanks for motivating me. Looking forward to making my big siyum in NDY in October 2025 when I complete my cycle. And then again in 2027 with Bavli. Hope you really enjoy and are inspired by the Shabbaton. Kol Tov. And Rabbi Badner just says, this is the last one, because I was asking why are people donating on the MDY Monthly 101. And a lot of people told me this, I'll just say it. I said it back then, I forgot. And I'm mistaken, the minhag of 101 started with Sfardim, who chose 101 over 100, because 100 is the gematria of the Samach Mem. Samach plus Mem equals 100, which is not such a good thing, so they do 101. Oh, this is you know what, why not? You show this thing for a second. Maybe I was saying what the stipler was trying to show, what Kas looks like, and I made this face. But I begged Yosef not to make it the thumbnail. So as I said that, and during this year, he made it a thumbnail and he threw it on the screen. So the guy says, I want to thank Yosef once again for the great work in editing this year. There are little bits that only the discerning eye notices, and the big shtick that adds so much, like the fire in the ice in yesterday's daf. However, this fake thumbnail really made me laugh. I thought you should know how much it and other things. I appreciate it. I like when people send this to me because I don't really go through my own shir. I'd rather go through other people's shirim. Kol Tov, Aaron Chaim David from Manchester, Yisher Koyach. Okay. Oh, the Koilel is sponsored. Lili Nishmas Chayo Bas Yosef and another sponsor. By the way, these sponsors are $10,000 sponsors each. So Baruch Hashem, we have 2 of these this month. May we always be able to support Torah, and may the Torah protect us from any harm. The Masechta, I don't know how much that is. I know that Ksubis was $9,000, but Nedarim is smaller. Ein zchus Torah vein Tומכיה כיעקב ויעל. He asks, why do I always smile when I say it? The Paras HaChodesh, Lila Nishmas zcharya ben Moshe. Paras HaChodesh, Efrazin zchus my son, Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Chana, Refuah Shlaima, Amen. And the Paras HaChodesh, Dr. Avrum Epstein, in memory of my dear departed loved ones, including my recent Yom Tov yizkors. Paras HaYoim, Pinchas, Kleerekoper, something like that. Lili Nishmas, Mirel Shulamis, Bas Pinchas on a Yahrzeit, and Simcha Shain from Lakewood. Oh, are you here? Shalom Aleichem, Yishkoyach Pinchas, Simcha. Last night you came over to me and said, how do I sponsor? Here you are, in honor of the man sitting right next to you, Reb Gedalya Miller, and the entire Kesher Nafshi family for really an amazing, amazing weekend. Liza, they were saying the whole Shabbos that it humbles everybody and people just, because nobody with an ego here. As Reb Y.Y. Jacobson, by the way, that guy is such a kishrin. People don't realize it. You hear him speak. Okay, a guy, another about that, but the kishrin that the man has, the memory and the way he spoke for over an hour without a single note, without a single he doesn't have a note. He goes and made up jokes on the spot that were relevant to right there and then, because we changed the whole room around. He had 3 jokes on that without thinking, with 20 seconds. The man is a kishrin and he uses his talents and his humor and everything for Torah to be mechazik people for Yiddishkeit. So it's unbelievable. It's mamish zchus to be here. And then I have to mention my friend Chaim Benun, also a very big psychologist and is a mumch in this area. I wasn't zeicha to hear your shir though. I had to prepare. Sorry. Maybe one day I'll be zeicha. So, but I did hear. Yeah, you sat next to me on the panel. We had a panel together. I heard that. Yishkoyach for that. I heard, by the way, that your son spoke at 4:00 in the morning, and also a phenomenal speech, which unfortunately every speech I missed was a big. We'll have to come back. All right. So can we start the shir? Yeah, that's what I do when the daf is a little bit challenging. We just do a lot of emails and not a lot of let's go. So as you remember, we had the 2 words, Maimed and Mishana. And basically, what happened was the person sees a group of people attacking his stuff, his food. He immediately makes a neder and he says, you're all asur my food. And then his father turns around and gives him the look. What are you doing? Me? Ooh, I didn't chap. So let's just take it from 6 lines, even though we did it. It's part of the sugya. Let's see it again. Omar Rabba, the Kuli Alma, 6 lines from Amud Beis. The Kuli Alma, Beishamim Bisila, Kol Heicha the Omar, Ilu Yisi Der Shabba Benechem Yisi Omer Kulchem Asurim Chutz Me'abba. He says, had I known that my father's right there, so I would have added a little bit. The Kulam Asurim Vav Mutter. Lo Nechleku Elo. If so, basically what they're saying is, Rabbah is saying, in a case of Maimed. So I did this little chart. I don't know if it helps or not. It's one of these sugyas. Sometimes charts help. They don't help. In Maimed, Rabbah says, in other words, he doesn't change his lashon. It stays the same. What he said in the beginning, he's saying now. He's saying, had I known that my father's there, I would have made a bracket. I would have put a little, in parentheses, whatever I said, besides my father. I'm not changing my wording. I'm not taking anything back. You're all asur. You're all a bunch of no goodniks. You're stealing my food. Asur. By the way, I just thought of something. One of our roommates used to bring geschmackig greens kokish cake in Pseik, and I was the youngest in yeshiva by far. I was like 15 years old. Everybody was 17, 18, and my father used to send me with $3.50 because it was exactly the amount of money that it took for the bus. I had 0 money to buy, and the guy had kokish cake there, greens kokish cake. So I helped myself a few times to this kokish cake, and it really, for years, I have this thing. I got to call Spiegel. I got to call him up. So I called him up one day. I said, "You remember me?" So I remember you. Yeah. He says, I said, I took some of your kokish cake. He's laughing. So I had to ask him mechila. But anyways, that was one of these guys that was stealing some of his kokish cake. And the guy says, neder. So I think they still sell that greens kokish cake, no? It lasts forever, that stuff. Put it in the thing. So So Maimid means he's keeping the neder as is. He's just adding in parentheses my father. In that case, says Rabbah, Asurim. Who's Asurim? You see Asurim? Look, yeah, Asurim. Asurim is the other people, not his father. In other words, the neder remains perfect. Just he didn't include his father. He didn't want to include his father in that. Now, what about the other case? Mishana. I have a machloikes, says Rabbah. I would have changed it. You see the last words in the Amud. I would have changed my words. Instead of saying kulchem asurim, I would say ploini uploini asurim va'aba motar. I would have changed my words. So the Ran explains here, why would he change his words? Just say, put in parentheses. Why change the words? This guy is very worried about the covet of his father. And when he says the words kulchem asurim, that millisecond that his father heard that, his father's heart dropped. What? My son is making something asar on me? Yeah, you're right. That a minute later, or 1.5 seconds later, he said, oh, besides you, Tati. Too late. Too late. You hear the what's going on here? You got to be careful and keep it aim. For 1 millisecond, he doesn't want to hurt his father. So how does he change that? How does he fix it? He says, you're asar, you're asar, you're asar. You, Tati, don't worry about it. You're mutter. So his father's never insulted. He never said his father's asar. He says, you're asar my food, you're asar my food, you not. Soon we're going to see that there's a svara to say fakert. That when you say you are asar, the father's mutter, what's the svara there? Because it takes a long time to get to the father. It's too many words. And during that time, his father's getting insulted. Well, you have to be careful. Words have a lot of power. Nedarim, that's the whole Masechta. Nedarim is about words, how words could affect something in somebody. Okay. So let's understand this a little different, better. So when a person says, we're talking about neder shuter miksasai huter kulai. So when a person is not mishana, he leaves it as is, and he says, kulchem asurim. He didn't do a neder shuter miksasai huter kulai. Why? His father wasn't even in that neder. He says, you're all asur. In parentheses, it doesn't include my father. He's not allowing part of his neder to exist. His father's just not even part of it. But when I say, you're asur, you're asur, you're asur, now that becomes, and you're mutter. So there's two problems there. First of all, I changed everything. And I made a mistake here. What is he saying? He's saying, I have to explain. The guy actually said, what did he actually say? He actually said, you're all asur. And then he says, wait a minute, I didn't know my father's here. I would have said, he said, I would have. I would have said it differently. Would have said it differently means that I made a mistake here in the neder. The first thing, if it's a maimed, I leave the neder as is. I'm happy with my neder. And my father's not included in the neder. Now I'm saying I'm not happy with my neder. I want to change the wording. Why do I want to change the wording? Because there's two problems here. Fine. There's a mistake when it comes to the father, and there's a mistake in the whole lashon. Instead of saying kulchem, he wants to say you're asur, you're asur, you're asur. He wants to break it down to pieces. So the whole neder, huter miktsasei huter kulai. Okay. Now let's look at Rava. So if we look at the chart for a second, just to give us a little tiny overview. So when it comes to maimed, Rabbah says everybody's asur, the father's mutter, and Rava says there's a machlokes. It's not everybody agrees to that. And when it comes to Mishana, it's the opposite. Well, not the opposite. Well, it's almost kemad opposite. The Mishana, Rabbah is going to say, if you change the whole thing, Rabbah says machlokes. Machlokes, do we say huter miktsasai, huter kulai? Well, we don't say huter miktsasai, huter kulai. Rava and then Rava says. So what did I say before? No, let's start from the beginning. Rabbah says in Maimed, everybody's also beside the father, and Mishana is a machlokes. Rava says Maimed is machlokes, but Mishana, it's mutter. Everybody holds it's mutter. Why? According to everybody, neder shehuter miktsasai huter kulai. There's no machlokes in that, he says. Everybody admits that if I'm going to take a little part off, I have to get the rest, throw out the rest. Let's say if I have it here. Okay. So let's see Rava. Here we go. Well, we can see Rabba for a second. You see this? So, according to Rabba, if it's a maimah, we'll just break it down. Kulchem asurim chutz ma'aba. He said kulchem asurim, and he says, I would have said chutz ma'aba. So, we have a machloikis if huta miktsasa huta kulai. But according to everybody, the acherim, the other people, they're also. Now we're going into Rava. Rava says like this, top of Chavov Amud. Rava Omar, the Kuli Alma, Kalechad Omar, Ilo Yisi, Dash Abba Benechem, Hoyisi, Oimer, Pliny, Upliny Asurim. Rabbi, so what is this called? When a guy says, had I known my father's there, I would have said Pliny, Upliny Asurim. Instead of saying Kulchem Asurim, I would have said, you are also, you are also. What is that called in our language? Mishana. He's changing it. So in that case, the Kuli Alma, everybody agrees, he says. Why? Because Neder Shutam Iktsasai Hutar Kuloi, according to everybody in Rava. Rava says everybody holds in the Mashana. We have Neder Shutam Iktsasai Hutar Kuloi. It's Neder Shutam Iktsasai Hutar Kuloi, and therefore everybody's mutter. So where is the machlokes? What is this called? This is called Maimed. If I would have known that my father is there, then I wouldn't have changed anything. I would have just added to the end. I would have just added, not to insult him. I would have said, besides you, Tati, that's not a Mashana, that's not changing, that's Maimed, that's keeping the nether as is. And I'm saying that my father's just not even part of that nether. So what's the, what is it? What's going on here? There's a pasuk in the Torah. You hear this, Don? I don't know if you know this stuff. You know what Tmura is? I don't want to pick on you. Tmura, not Truma. Tmura. Tmura is a concept that a lot of you guys don't know, so we'll say it. Basically, if you have a sheep number one, it's a shtickle, it didn't go to Kesher Shabbaton, so it's like this. It's like a stick. And I take it and I say, this is going to be a carbon. This is a noila. So then you look in your barn and you see, well, look at this zaftika sheep I have here. I have a much better one. It's not a kovedik takadosh baruch hu. I should bring this lousy one sheep. Let me do two. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You think it's a good thing, right? So let's see the pasuk. Lo yachlifenu. It's also to switch it. V'lo yamer oisai. Toiv bara or rabba toiv. A fat one for a skinny one for a fat one. V'mhamer yamer behema behema. And if you do it, v'haya hu smurasa yeh kodesh. They both become kadosh. You're over a very big isser. Terrible thing. You can't do this. It's called Tmura. You can't do it. So that's your classic case of Tmura. Check this one out. The guy says the big sheep should be an Ayla and a Shlamim. Whoa. An Ayla goes completely on the Mizbeach. It's for Hashem. Kulil Hashem. A Shlamim, you take a lot of the meat and you eat it and you could eat it. Forget the cut. So, how could it be? What do you do? So here, now we understand the sugya. Says Rebbe Meir, Tfais Loshain Rishain. The first words that came out of his mouth. What are the first words in this case? Oyla. So this is a oyla. Forget about what he said. We go by a person means what comes out of his mouth first. First thing that comes out, what he said later, we ignore. Fine. Rabbi Yossi says, Bigmar Dvara of Adam Nitfas. What was the last thing he said? A shlamim. So what do? Basically, you just let it, you have to let it sit and until it befalls a mum, and you sell it and you give a little bit to oil, a little bit of shlamim. Fine. No, not zekazeh. No, Yeah, it should be a tmura. This should be instead of Oil and Ishlam. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, fine. So according to Rava, everybody holds neder shuta miktsasai huter kulai. So it goes like this. Where is it? Here. Just look at the arrows. Over here we also have, it's not exact, says the Ran, without going into a lot of, it's similar. Then what? The guy has two, I would have said two things. First of all, I said today, kulchem asurim, you're all awesome. But I would have added chutz ma'aba. So according to Beis Shammai, tfois lashon rishon. Kulchem asurim. According to Beis Hillel, you grab the last one. And therefore, so kulchem asurim means I didn't even include my father. But according to Beis Hillel, you have to think about the father. He did include the father. Memela, since he's out of it, everybody's out of it. So Nachama. Everybody agrees, Beis Shammai also agrees that if I take one person out of my neder, then everybody's out of it. Huter mektsasai, huter kulai. But according to Beis Shammai, he never took anybody out of it. He only said one thing. He said, you're all asur. What about the fact that he took his father out of it? We ignore that. It's tfois lashon rishon. But according to Beis Hillel, we don't ignore. In other words, there's no machlokes about huter mektsasai huter kulai. The question is this a case of huter mektsasai huter kulai? So he said, I can't ignore, says Beis Hillel, that he said, besides my father. So let's take that into consideration. And therefore, he knocked his father out of the neder. Oh, once you knock one person out of the neder goes kaput. Eisvei, Rav Papa L'Rava. Keitzad Omer Reb Kiva neder shuda mektsasi huter kulai. Okay, let me just show you this real quickly. I don't know if this is going to help you or not. Look at these three things here. Neder she'eni nehena lekulchem. It's a little bit of my lashon. It's taken off the Gemara, but whatever fit into the box. So a guy says, kulchem, I'm not going to have hana from all of you. So what happens if one of those people becomes mutter for whatever reason? It didn't apply to one of those people. Huter kulai. Huter kulam. What if he says, he uses a different lashon? Not all of you are asur, but he says, you're asur, you're asur, you're asur. So there's two halachas here, 2 and 3. Huter rishon, huter kulam. If the first guy is mutter, then they're all mutter. Huter achroin, if the last guy is mutter, then only the last guy is mutter, but everybody before him not. I did a little bit of a chart for later. This is not really it. But let's say Yossi Klein, the plumber from Muncie, he's in the middle. If he's mutter, this is a different case because it goes to both directions. But over here you can see, you have a person, the people after him are all mutter, and just consider if you just take off the part on the left, on the right, all those guys say asur. So if he's the first guy, everybody's mutter. If he's the last guy, then he's mutter, everybody's asur. Okay, yeah. This is like, you can make believe there's two cases. I don't want to get up here. But... Control L, no? Yeah, here we go. Here's one case, up to this line. We start from Yossi Klein. If he's the last one, Yossi Klein is the last one. So he's mutter, and all these guys are asur. If Yossi Klein is the first one, so he's mutter, and everybody after him is mutter. We're going to see, the Gemara is going to describe what's going on here exactly. Okay. So now, let's just forget that for a second. Now, because it's Nedarim, so there's a little bit, the Gemara likes to throw in a lot of wrenches just to confuse everybody, but it's really not confusing. So it goes like this. How did he say it? A guy says, I'm not going to benefit from any of you. I'm making a neder, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're a bunch of losers, I don't want anything to do with you. And then he finds out one of the losers happens to be his own father. His father's part of the group. So the halacha is, if one of them, he's going to take his father out of the group, of course. Everybody understands he didn't mean his father. So since his father is not part of the neder, what happens to the neder? Bye-bye, the whole neder. Now, the second case is, she'eni nehena lezel lezeh. You can take out the word loy. She'eni nehena lezel lezeh. Right? It's nedarim. Take out words. There's a lot of okay. It doesn't really make nafkaminas. You say loy now. Okay. She'eni nehena lezel lezeh. To you. And again, he didn't realize his father's sitting there. Huter Rishon, Huter Kulam. Okay, if his father's the first one, then the neder doesn't apply to any of them. If his father's Yossi Klein. By the way, Stamazon, it's a good thing that you guys are here, especially Don, because sometimes that's the problem with Daf Yomi, and people know that if you hutter one, if you don't do one daf, sometimes that's the mapala of the whole thing. It's hutter kulam. It's like you miss one day, forget about it. But the trick is, if you're new to this, and I say this every week, I have to say it at least once. The trick is, if you miss one day because Itaka couldn't do it, and then how many people really learn on vacation like this? It's very hard. You know that every minute is counted for. There's a shear every single minute, and I'm talking about every single minute all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning. Some of the programs, Reb Y.Y. Jacobson started his program last night at 2 a.m. Started. So every minute. So when are you going to learn Torah? We have this over here, but saying so. It's very easy to fall off the bandwagon when you're in a situation like that. He's playing music all the way to 5 in the morning. How's he going to learn? The answer is, if you take a miss, you just continue by to come to that. Shkoyach, Russell's here. Unbelievable. We're just talking about this idea of hutter. If one person is mutter, then they all become mutter. You came for one of the most exciting dapim in the Nedarim. Shkoyach. Fine. Zok to Gemara. The bottom line is try as hard as you can not to miss a daf, because if you do miss, it becomes problematic. That's when the Yitzhar gets you. But we have a system that even if you miss, the Yitzhar doesn't get to you, because it becomes ingrained in us that no matter what, you don't make up the daf. You don't make up what you missed. You always do that day's daf. And if you have, it's not about the daf, it's about the yomi, learning every single day. Reb Shimon, Yichap the Kiddush Hashem here. Most of the people in this room didn't go to sleep yet, but they're here to learn Torah. Gedalya slept for 1 hour. I'm made. I don't know that he fell asleep. He told me he's going to sleep here. That it's Daf Yomi, no matter what, no matter how much fun you had, and no matter when you went to sleep, we're doing the daf. Okay, I'll go upon him. How did that fit in here? Because it says Hutar Rishon, Hutar Kulo. Fine. Hutar Achroin, Ha'achroin Mutar, V'Kulan Asurim. If the last guy, let's say the father is that dentist from the 5 towns all the way on the left, if he's not part of the neder, he's the father, he's not part of the neder, then only he is mutter and everybody's awesome. Now, the Gemara goes through this, and this is the fun. Bish loimel Rabba. Rabba says what? Let's go back for a second. That hutter miktsasei kuloi. When you have a neder, that you have to remove part of the neder. Does it ruin the whole neder or not? According to Rava, everybody agrees that it ruins the whole neder. But Rabba says no. Rabba says it's machlokes. Okay. So, if so, Bishlam the Rabba makes a lot of sense. Now, we're just going to ask a kasha on Rava. Bishlam Rabba, Moikim Lo Reisha. Now, I have to tell you, this is Nedarim, and this is one of the funny things about Nedarim. Reisha, in this case, means 1 and 2. And in 2 lines from now, Reisha means just 1, not 2. And the Ran, and that's why the Ran is this wide, he says, because now it makes sense that 1 and 2 is the Reisha. Because they're different, they're in the same category. But later it doesn't make sense. But okay, throughout in Chats you never find that. A Reisha is a Reisha, a Seif is a Seifa. But this is Nedarim. And just to throw another, because the Sugi is not hard enough, we're going to throw in another interesting part to it. Great. So, Bishleim the Rabba, Moikim Lo Reisha, 1 and 2, the Omar, Lezeh Ulezeh. What is this called, Rabbi say? If you look at 1, does it say Lezeh Lezeh? No, it says Kulchem. So what's Rabbi doing here? Rabbi is Mishana. Again, he's changing. The guy wants to change all his words. He's making a changeroo. He said, kulchem, all of you. And then he felt bad that his father's part of it. So now he's going to change his words to zel, zel, zel. By the way, they're about to daven chakras over there. Okay. Too bad, you guys in MDY, the live guys, sorry. It's one of those sugyas. Fine. Next. What are you laughing? Yeah, but I'm not there to hear it, so I don't care. You know what? This is the nekama. This week, in middle of shir, it was 8 o'clock shir. All of a sudden, one guy gives a bang on the table. Bam! 8 o'clock, 0, 0. The whole shir got up and walked out. It was a shtick against me. They wanted to, play a game on me. And I just kept on going. Because I told them, because I told them the day before, I don't care if you leave at 8 o'clock, everybody can leave. So they all left. And then they came back. Fine. So now we're going to go till 8:20, stam, to shtach them around. Says the Gemara. So he's Mishana. Instead of saying kulchem, he's saying loylazeh, v'loylazeh. Fine. So in both cases. Now, in the second case also, he says loylazeh, loylazeh. So he's saying kulchem, he's Mishana. To that he's going to change. So 1 and 2 are a change. 1, he's changing from kulchem to loylazeh. 2, he's changing from loylazeh likulchem. So over here, that's where I mentioned it before. The Ran says because there's a reason why this guy would want to change. Why does he want to change? Kibud avein. He doesn't want to insult his father. So when he says kulchem, and he realizes that his father is in there, again, what's the story? He sees a bunch of people eating his food and he doesn't like it. So he says, you're all us or my food. But one of them is his father. He wants his father to eat his food. So for Kibbut Aveim, he says, Oi, had I known, I would have never put my father with Kulchem, with all of you. I would have said, Loylazeh, v'loylazeh, v'loylazeh, besides Tata. So it would have not been an insult to my father. So he wants to change from Kulchem to Loylazeh, loylazeh. Number 2 over here, it's the opposite svara. Again, a guy says, I said, loylazeh, loylazeh, loylazeh. Oops, one of those loylazehs is my father. Oops, had I known that it's my father, I would have changed it and made him feel better. What have I said? I would have said, kulchem chutz ma'aba. So why is that? Before we said it's not kibud aveim to say kulchem chutz ma'aba. And now all of a sudden it is, because loylazeh, loylazeh, loylazeh takes a long time. It takes 3.5 seconds. Instead of saying kulchem chutz ma'aba, which takes 1.5 seconds. My father, instead of being insulted and waiting, wait a minute, am I part of that group? Loylazeh, what, he wants to ask for me also? And all the way at the end, he finds out he's not part of the group. But for 5 seconds, he was sitting there trembling that maybe his son put him in Chayrim, in a nether. And for that, his son says, no, I want to change it. I want to go, kulchem, chutz ma'aba, real quickly. Get it over with so he has no tsar. Okay, so there's a svar for here and here. The bottom line is, who cares? Who cares? I care. But the bottom line is that it's a mishana. He's changing his wording, and it fits in beautifully with Rabbah. Why? Because Rabbah says there's a machlaikis in hutar miktsasi hutar kulai. But according to Yerava, bishlam reisha. Now what's reisha? I told you. Now it changes. Reisha means 1, the first case. So 1 is going to be a maimed. He didn't change anything. Boikim la damel kulchem. Kulchem. Just in parentheses, not my father, but he's not changing the wording. You should just know I never met my father, and that, according to Rebbe Kiva, is called what? A maimed, and hutar miktsasoi, hutar kuloi, and the nether's bottom. And according to Rabbanon, I hope my chavrusa doesn't show up to MDY. He has a header, because if I'm not there, he can sit and watch my shir. Then he's going to critique me. So if you're there, get out of the basement right now. You're putting me under pressure. Bishloi mereisha, moikim lodom alekulchem. And according to Rabbanon, what's going to happen? Since Rabbanon don't say hutar miktsasi hutar kuloi, I know you guys, tomorrow is going to be a whole new day. Daf Yomi is beautiful. New sugya, easy stuff. But according to Rabbanon, you don't say hutar miktsasi hutar kuloi. So the nether remains. According to Rebbe Kiva, the nether's batal u'mevudu kafir the arrow. Why? Because one part is batal. If one part is batal, the whole thing is batal. According to Chachamim, it remains because they don't have that svar of Neder Shudim Miktasi with the Kuloi. We just turned Daf Chavav Amud Beis, sponsors zchus to continue to be able to support Torah and to finish shots with the Reb Eli. Refuah Shlaima, Baruch ben Sarah, Ita Yudas Bas Mindel, and Latzachas ben Yamin ben Ita Yudas. Elo Seifa. Now, Rabbi said, what's Seifa? The second one. Before Seifa was 3. Oh, here, let me just show you. I have the. Doesn't matter. Here, this is Seifa 2. So again, the Ran says, I don't want to confuse everybody here. The Ran says, look, before 1 and 2 were the ratio because it's basically the same thing. I'm just explaining Kibbud Avim this way, Kibbud Avim that way. It's the same thing. But now it doesn't work like that in Rava. Since it doesn't work like that in Rava, we're changing ratio and Seifa. Ela Seifa Dama Lezel Lezeh. So, in the beginning, he said, what did he say, Rabbi Isai? As it says here, Kulchem. He said the words Kulchem. And then, he's Mishana. In the Seifa, he's Mishana. And he says, you see, instead of saying Lekulchem, he changed it to Lezel Lezeh. That's how Rabbi's going to explain. So the question is, am I pleading Rabbanan Alei? You're telling me that this whole thing goes according to Rebbe Kiva. Who argues with him? According to you, Rava, there's no argument when it comes to Neder Shudim Miktasi with the Kuloi. Everybody agrees that Neder Shudim Miktasi with the Kuloi. Yeah, you with me? Fashluven, the Mamish, everybody. Soon the jokes are coming soon. So the Gemara, Amalei Rava, fine. Vamris, am I believing Rabban Ali? Vamris the Reakol Mutter. Amalei Rava, 3 lines from the top. Ulerabba, okay. Ulerabba, Lerabba Kiva Menicha. How do you explain it? Seifa, meaning, okay, Seifa is 3 over here. B'may Moikim La. Domar Lekulchem, he said, all of you. Hey Deinu Rishon, Vehei Deinu Achroin. What's going on here? You see, look at 2 and 3. It says, if Hutar Rishon, if the first guy became Mutter, like in this picture, the first guy, the guy with the arrow becomes Mutter, everybody after him in the green becomes Mutter. If the guy was the last guy in the line, then only he. The question is, that's not the point. Why is he called a Rishon and Achron? It's all about one of them, not first and last. One of them, the father, whoever he is, he becomes the mutter. He's the mutter guy. Elo, Reisha de Omar lekulchem. The Reisha is a maimed. And a maimed meaning he said kulchem and he remains with kulchem. I'm not changing the wording in according to Rebbe Kiva. It was mutter for the father, mutter kuloi. And according to Rabbah, it's not a maimed. According to Rabbah, it's a mishana. He started off with the zel and he changed it into a kulchem. The seifa, what's seifa over here? The second and the third part. He made them dependent one on the other. You see what happened there? So now you can go to this chart. You have Reb Shimon. We have an in-house artist, and he drew all these for Yavamas. And the 4, well, not 4 here. There are 4 here, but these are not the 4. These are 3 guys from our shir. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. You see, Reuven, Shimon, R, L, and S. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. They sit in the shir every day. I got their rishos, and we call them the Baldman brothers because they're all bald. So because they're bald, you can tell that it gives you a way to remember that they're brothers. Because throughout Yavamas, we have brothers, 4 brothers, 5 brothers. And then we have real people. This is Yossi Klein, the guy that does unbelievable amount for the shir from Muncie, and we have Binyamin Schwartz all the way to the left. I'll call him. The guy Nun and Dalet are not real. D are not real people. Fine. So he says like this. Wow, it's 8:10 already. Shem Yirachem. Shachris in 10 minutes. They start Shachris at 8 o'clock, and the it's live now. So we got to move. Oh, so what happened was Yossi Klein is the subject here. The guy in the middle, the guy with the arrow. And the guy said a nether. He says, this guy is going to be like me, and the next guy is going to be like the guy before him. Ruvain is going to be like Yossi Klein, Levi is going to be like Ruvain, the dentist is going to be like Levi. So in Mela, they're all dependent on each other. It has a domino effect. If you get rid of the middle guy, so everybody after him falls down. Ooh, that I should have done that. I could have, okay, next time. Didn't have enough time. But everybody before him, huh? Everybody before him, this sugya takes 3 days. Halavai, I would have had 10 more hours. Everybody before Yossi Klein is not affected by it. They can, I'll prove it to you, the Sanya. The Snan, the Sanya. It says in the Mishnah, Huter Emtsoi, if the middle one is absolved from the nether, he's not part of the nether. You know, he's the father. I wouldn't have said it if I would have known that my father's involved. Everybody past him is not part of the nether. Why? Because they're all dependent on him. Again, if we're going with this far before, they just take out the father, pluck him out. What does that have to do with everybody else? Because you hear the problem? Very good. If the father, let's call Yossi Klein, the middle guy, is the father, and he's not in the nether. So what should happen? One of two things. Either everybody's out of the nether, or nobody, they're all in the nether. Either everybody's in the nether, or everybody's out of the nether. How do I take from the center, everybody's out of the nether, and from the center to the right, everybody's in the nether? How can I have such a situation that 3 people are usher, they're part of the nether, and 3 people are mutter? You want to take the father out? Great. He's mutter. I would have never made a nether against him. But how do I take the other people out? And if I take the other people out, take all of them out. Is it a good nether or not a good nether? Tell me what's going on here. Very good, says the Gemara. Beautiful. Because it was a different type of nether than you thought. He made a nether that the people after him are all dependent on him. And Memela, once you take him out, all the people dependent on him, they go five in also. And the people before him are not dependent on him. So they remain in the nether. Says the Gemara. Okay, that's it. We're done with that hard sugya. If you didn't understand one word, don't worry, 95% of the people didn't understand one word, and that's why we have Daf Yomi. We go on to the next sugya. We're not mamish in another sugya, we're almost in another sugya. A person says, I am not touching onions anymore because it's terrible for the heart. Now obviously these people weren't Hasidish. You know, us Hasidim, we eat a lot of onion. Tzvivel mit ayer. Some people do ayer mit tzvivel. Whatever it is, yeah? You know what I'm talking about? Well, what do you guys call it? What do you call it? Say. How much is inside? What do you call it? I haven't seen it. Does anybody call it tzvivel mit ayer? No. Okay. Huh? Sometimes we call it the croutons with soup. Tzvivel ayer? You see, he says tzvivel ayer. I told him. Okay. Okay, I didn't make it up. Okay, so in the time of the Gemara, they didn't have Hasidim, so they didn't, okay. They're not into onions. Onions no good for you, they say. This guy, no, they did have Hasidim. This guy happened to be Litvish. My love, so, sorry. He said, Shaitim, what are you doing? Why are you making such an eder? Whatever it is, this type of onion, a mature onion, or this onion from Kufri, it's very, very good. So this is Boker Tov, Shavuot Tov, Nishma. Thank you. She's having trouble with the license plate. Okay, great. Gedalya, you couldn't arrange something like that? Okay, next time. So they tell him, what you made so this is a similar nether to what? What nether does this remind you of? It probably reminds you of the nether in our Mishnah. A guy makes a nether against his wife. He says, I don't want to have anything to do with you because you stole from me, because you hit our child. Then he finds out that she never hit the child. Oops. So this is a very similar nether. He made a nether against onions. The doctor told him the onions are terrible. And they said, but you forgot about Shabbos. You forgot about Kufri. Forgot about it. So it's similar to that. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows, this has nothing to do with anything. But we used to do a game like this in camp that they would tell you, eat an apple, you have to blindfold eat an apple, and they would give you an onion. And the kids didn't chop. You're eating away an onion because it sounds the same. It tastes the same as an apple. Try it out. It takes like mamish 5 bites to chop that you're eating an onion. onion and apple, if you close your nose and you blindfold, you're not going to chap. Okay, try it out. Just made that up. Since we have so many, there's a lot of Hasidim here. The Chaim from Tzanz once told, this is a Hasidic Shemaisa. You guys would appreciate it. I don't. So, the guy, people would come to him, have heart. The doctor said he has heart trouble. So the Chaim said, okay, drink dark black coffee, like you made for me. Dark black coffee. So great. So this Chacham, he had a heart trouble. He said, why should I go to the Divrei Chaim? He's going to tell me drink dark coffee. I'll just do it by myself. So he took some coffee, and he fell down to the ground. They had to call the ambulance, rush him to the hospital. He comes to the Rebbe. He says, so he said, what, you crazy? You took the coffee without, I didn't tell you to take. So what do I do, Rebbe? What do I do? He says, take dark coffee. Now you take dark coffee. Because sometimes you need the Rebbe to give it to you. You can't just take, it's not a medicine in the street. When the Rebbe tells you, the dark coffee, you take dark coffee. Over here, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Depends on the situation. Kufri yavalev. This is good for the heart. So huta b'kufri. Once we remove that kind of onion, then all onions. Once so once you get rid of one type of onion, all the onions in the world. Rebbe Meir said, this is great. All the b'tzal. My love, this is a guy, I got to tell you this, Maisa. There's a guy, I don't care, it's in the coma, you're going to kill us. You hear, Rabbi say, hear this Maisa. There's an old man, he went to the doctor says, oi, it's unbelievable, you're having heart failure. Not only that, your memory is going. So he says to the doctor, he says, memory shmemory, who cares about that? The ikir is that my heart is good. Okay. Says the Gemara, sorry. My life, if I would have known that the kufri is good, so, l'chayra, what is he doing? The Gemara says, l'chayra, he's doing a maimed. Again, to the beginning of the share, whoever wasn't in the beginning doesn't know what I'm talking about. There's two things. One is called maimed, one is called mishana. Maimed means I'm keeping it as is, oymed, standing. Mishana means I'm changing. L'chayra, this is a case of maimed. Had I known, and he's just saying, had I known that the kufri is good, I wouldn't have changed the words. I would have said, kol ab'salam asurim, exactly what I said before, but I would have put in parentheses, v'kufri mutter, like everybody's asur besides my father. Loi. Then I would have changed the wording. I would have done mishana. You see, but ploini, asurim v'kufri mutter, and therefore, Reb Meir, this Reb Meir over here that said that everything is mutter. I'll leave it to Reb Akiva. I'll leave it to Rabbanan. Then he could go according to everybody. He could go to Reb Akiva, and that is true. The miktsasi with the kuloi, and everything is good. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.